By God, this Mason Plumlee's music! I know what you're thinking. What the hell? Why are you playing the sexy sax? It's okay because we saw the young guys play. We saw Ryan Dunn and we saw Oso Iguodaro, and the Suns 111-104 loss to the Houston Rockets. Welcome on in, Psychos and Sickos, to the PHNX Suns post-game show. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up and find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm done with the clown music. I'm done with the loss music. I'm just going to take a win where we could take a win, even though the Suns didn't get one in the win column tonight. I'm Eric. That's Steven. That's Gerald. Noah behind the Mac, making all the magic happen. But as always, the most important people, you guys in the chat, hanging out with us on a Wednesday night after the Phoenix Suns fell 6 games below 500. Again, literally psychos and sickos uniting right here. But we have some new-ish things to talk about. So I guess that's a positive.
Sure. I mean,
sure.
Listen, I'm very happy that we got what we asked for in pregame. We wanted to see Ryan Dunn. We wanted to see Oso Iguodaro. It wasn't the avenue that I wanted to see it in. Like Steven mentioned, like these guys should be getting minutes regardless of what the injury sheet looks like, regardless of Mason Plumlee getting ejected early in the game. We should still be seeing these guys on a nightly basis. But it's tough because as much as I enjoy watching, the young players and evaluating them, it's unfortunate that we're at that point in the season where that is kind of the saving grace of a Suns basketball game. This team is now 6 games below 500. They didn't lose any ground in that race for the 10 seed because the Mavs also lost tonight, but they missed out on an opportunity to close that gap a little bit. This game was not one that the Rockets definitively put away. They left their stamp on it. They were in control for pretty much the entire night and never felt like that was in danger, but they were within striking distance for most of the way. And if they had put up some type of a fight, maybe they could have closed that gap a little bit and this would be a different feeling post-game show. So it is a little bit unfortunate for me, and it's rough because it just feels so lifeless right now outside of what we're excited to see, which is Ryan Dunn and Oso Iguodaro and literally anyone that's trying to play with a pulse at this point.
Steven, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But I was going to ask Steven what his take is on this because I don't know. It's not fun watching this team play right now. And as much as I enjoyed watching the young guys, it didn't feel like this team really played with a pulse tonight.
It's not fun because they're not having fun at all. And I know it's not recreational basketball. It's not park district basketball in any capacity. In fact, it can't be any further removed from that. But the fun part of it is definitely something. You see it with any team that's sustained winning in any capacity this season. Celtics guys joking around with each other. Oklahoma City ganging up with every post game that's happening on the court. Like, where's the fun with everything? Naturally, I spoke to it at the beginning of the season. This is a veteran-heavy team. Ways to break up the mundaneness of an 82-game marathon is by way of your rookies that you lauded so loudly early in the season, right after you drafted them, quite honestly, before training camp even started. They're supposed to be helping you break up that mundaneness off of personality, but also on the court because they can do things that veterans don't typically do over the course of an 82-game season. The multiple efforts, the activity, just being able to give a little bit more on the second night of back-to-backs or the third game of a road trip that's 4 or 5 games. Like, these are scenarios where if they're in rhythm consistently, they can break that up for you and be a positive in some capacity, even with their flaws. Everybody wants to point to their flaws. What about their strengths? We saw a few of their strengths in multiple moments tonight, and this is after both of them haven't seen consistent rotation minutes in over 2 months at this point. Like, you couldn't expect for them to come in and be game changers or floor raisers for you in any capacity. But they continue to show that they're locked in because they never felt like they were overwhelmed by the moment. Oso Ighodaro, sorry, no Nick Richards. Mason Plumlee gets kicked out of the game. Now you got to go guard Alfred Şengün. And if you're not guarding him, you might have to guard Jalen Green coming off a screen or a handoff, trying to get downhill. Or you might have to guard Fred VanVleet on the switch. Ryan Dunn, I know you haven't played much, but can you go out there and be a defensive stopper for us? And he goes out and does what he did. Switches with Şengün. Guarding Jalen Green in the isolation one-on-one. Fred VanVleet. Like, imagine where these two could be in their process of development through the weaknesses, but also adding on top of their strengths with game reps, the most valuable reps possible, if they were actually getting game reps.
Yeah, I think that your record would be better, and I think they would be better, and then you'd be set up at a spot where you're going through this last month and a half of a season, being like, okay, you know, we have a not a supercharged Oso and Ryan Dunn, but a better one, right? And then a rookie wall is a real thing. And if they were playing all the time, every single game relied upon, then maybe they would hit a point where they kind of stalled out a little bit, but you didn't even really let them get there. Right. And there are a lot of people who are saying, you know, like, you know, that you're a loser when you're rooting for, you know, these players who are asked to go and play, or if all you care about is Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro play. I think even more beyond the players, it's the principle. And and tonight you saw that, like the flaws, like when you watched Ryan Dunn play, did he have a perfect game? No. But he played good defense. He stayed in front of his guy. He blocked some shots. He hit a three. And he did that cold after getting 40 seconds in the last couple of games. It's the same thing, and we're over and over again saying this. It was nice to get, I guess, some validation and being forced to play them, but Nick Richards won't be out for the rest of the season. Grayson Allen won't be out for the rest of the season, and none of this does any good if the next game it's back to normal and those two are glued to the bench.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part is I don't think any one of us are up here arguing that, well, if you'd have played Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro for the last 2 months, this team would be a title contender. I don't think any of us are trying to make that case, but you would be a lot better than 6 games below 500. And more importantly, even if this season was a massive disappointment, you'd be set up better because those guys had been getting consistent burn, had been getting those learning experiences, had been playing with confidence. Because to your point, Eric and Steven, like when you throw these guys in there, when they haven't been getting consistent minutes as a rookie, you are doing everything in your power to not make mistakes instead of focusing on what you do well and just playing the game. You're in the back of your own head trying to avoid those types of things that are going to get you sent back to the doghouse again. So, like, yeah, Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro, you look at the plus minus, you look at the overall stat line, none of it's going to blow you away, in particular outside of the block column, but they show you flashes of things that they're capable of doing when they haven't played consistent minutes in a long time. And it's just frustrating because we saw it early in the year. We saw Ryan Dunn putting together one of his best shooting months of the season, and that was when he gets inexplicably benched. And ever since then, the Suns have been one of the worst defenses in the NBA since they made that switch. And it's frustrating when you look at the center spot and you look at how often they're getting burned in drop coverage and putting up no resistance there. And you have one switchable center on your roster who's a rookie who provides that athleticism, that youth, that burst that you need. And he's not even getting a look there. It's really hard to watch the stubbornness of that approach and not try these guys out unless you absolutely have to, like tonight.
Yeah, to the point that you were making, as far as people say, you know, the season is lost when you're rooting for players like Ryan Dunn and Oso, which I see the discourse on my timeline too. My question is for those that are actually watching the games, like if you're trying to play to a certain perspective, I'll leave that alone. That's what you want to do, cool. But for the people that are actually watching the games and are asking for certain players to be brought into the Suns context to shift things for them, I promise you, if you're looking for the right types of pieces that can actually be added to this team contractually, you're going to see qualities that you desire from these players external to the team in the form of rookies that were drafted to play that specific role for this team. That's the part that just leaves a big question mark over my head with every rotation decision that excludes those two, because you need defense. You need someone to steer the wheel of your defense every possession. Did Ryan Dunn not provide that for you and the mainstay of his minutes when he got promoted to the starting rotation. For Oso Ighodaro, everybody cries about drop coverage. I don't think the principles of a drop coverage scheme are understood. Hopefully I can play a part in showing people what it's supposed to look like and explaining the roles within that. But the only way that they can go about avoiding that outside of putting Kevin Durant at the 5 or Royce O'Neal at the 5 is by playing Oso Ighodaro, who can switch. He can guard a guard for 3 or 4 dribbles. We've seen him guard Luka Doncic one-on-one and Kyrie Irving the very next possession and get a stop on both of those possessions, contesting shots from the mid-range and from the 3 without fouling, without having to concede help from someone else that opens up an advantage for them to play off of. We've seen all of these things multiple times this season. Yeah. And that's why there's this looming question mark over my head regarding the rotations.
So a couple of things. One, talking about the rookies. Listen, let me say something that I don't want to be true. What if Ryan Dunn and Oso aren't good, right? What if long-term they're not a fit for this team? And these are not things that I believe. But don't you want to figure that out right now? Like, if it is stupid that we're sitting here begging to see these two rookies because they really are just trade bait or they really are just trash or whatever it is, well, you owe it to yourself to find that out right now, since this season is basically lost. Yes, the Mavs lost tonight, but this team does not play in a way where you can see them string together wins. When's the last time they won 2 games in a row, Gerald?
January 27th.
And you know that off the top of your head, which is really, really bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. And there are a lot of comments in the chat, Steven. I just have a simple question for you. You're a very level-headed guy.
I try to be. Lord knows you get tested in this space. But I try to be.
Okay, so that's my question. That's my question.
So,
does this team make you angry?
Angry? No.
Mad?
No.
Upset?
No. Not angry, not mad, upset, but whelmed or underwhelmed? 1,000%.
Yeah.
There's a few things that can actually make me angry. I don't think that surprises either one of y'all. But that is very underwhelming. I would say that.
Is their approach an affront to you at times?
Absolutely.
All right, there we go.
It's it's offensive, actually. Just considering the
things that Suns are offensive to Steven's basketball knowledge.
The things you have at your disposal, and just to see things not even tried or experimented, or you see something that works, and then you say that you looked at the data and hope that the data could help to back up whatever decisions you're ultimately going to be making in the next couple of days, and then the decisions you make in the next couple of days do not match the data. I know you have different data than we can see, but it's not matching any of the numbers that are accessible to anybody that's watching the games, let alone looking at numbers. Like, things just don't make sense. 1 + 1 is not adding up to 2 this season.
No, 1 + 1 has not added up to 2, but we are going to try to add up to 130. That's going to be the light goal tonight. We are going to talk about the fight. We have a Houston Rockets Kevin Durant trade because Lord knows we got to talk about something. We'll be hitting that later in the show. Of course, we have By the Numbers, Big Bright Shining Star, and all of your super chats that are coming up right after our first break. I say this all the time. Producer Noah is just such a smart guy. He just makes all the right decisions in life. He's very level-headed, and he knows when he needs when he needs a ride around town. Who do you call, Noah? Who do you call to get a ride?
I call Waymo.
That is Waymo correct. Thank you so much for chiming in, Producer Noah. And I know that Noah chooses Waymo because it's reliable, and they are the first service to offer a fully autonomous ride with no human behind the wheel in 2015. Waymo has over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience, and of course, you're stepping into a very nice car. You kind of play a gambling game when you're not using Waymo, but you know exactly what you're going to get when you call a Waymo. If you're going to a Suns game, you're leaving drunk, get a Waymo. If you're going to spring training, you probably want a couple beers, and maybe you just don't want to drive and deal with traffic and parking because sometimes that can ruin the experience. Waymo's here to enhance the experience. All you have to do to get your experience enhanced, download the Waymo One app and ride today. And listen, I'm just going to be frank. I usually bury the lead here. Would you like $200 for free, Steven?
Yes, of course.
Gerald?
Sure.
Noah, to purchase more Waymos?
yeah.
Yeah. See, even when Noah knows that it's right, and you can get $200 for free with our friends, my personal friends, my close friends, over at Desert Financial Credit Union, the best and biggest credit union in the state of Arizona, rated #1 by Forbes and #1 by the Ruby household. My grandparents, my parents, and myself have all been a part of Desert Financial Credit Union from the first job that I worked to the current job that I work, always with DFCU. You can get checkings and savings accounts, the basics, but also mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. And they are dedicated to giving back to their community, which is why when you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses and get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Rob, Melissa, Techum, I think I pronounced that right. Boom Shakalaka, Lori, Emerson. Lori says Eric exuding more energy than the entire Suns team tonight. Listen, I just got to tap into my inner WWE announcer when I said, by God, that's Mason Plumlee's music. So I am very excited. The inner kid in me is doing backflips. Before we get to Super Chats, let's talk a little bit about the fight. Dan in Florida says, I only tuned in to watch after I saw the PHNX tweet about the fight. And as much as I love the fight, you know, getting scrappy, Steven Adams, Mason Plumlee, two big white dudes going after it. It doesn't really matter, these fights, the Cam Spencers, right? All of this, if it doesn't fire you up, if it doesn't get your team ready, and it was just like fight and then back to business as usual.
Yeah, it flamed out pretty quickly there. Obviously, Plumlee was bleeding from the forehead, and on the one hand, I like a guy not backing down, but on the other hand, you also have to be aware of the situation in terms of your personnel. You're already out Nick Richards. The team needed center depth tonight. So even though I don't agree with him getting ejected, because it looked like Steven Adams pulled him to the ground, the Plumlee shove when Steven Adams got locked up with him was apparently enough to get him ejected. And we do have the pool report from Tony Brothers. The only question was, why were Steven Adams and Mason Plumlee given ejections instead of double technical fouls? Brothers said their aggressive actions were considered a fight, and by rule, fighting technical fouls carry a penalty of automatic ejections. So there you go.
My only reaction is, did y'all feel that Steven Adams started whatever it was, however you want to describe it, that transpired?
I felt like Steven Adams came in with kind of the elbow and kind of like hooked Plumlee's arm when they were boxing out or whatever. It felt like kind of a bang play. I can't remember who kind of, it looked like Steven Adams latched on, but I don't.
I think it was one of those. There was probably a little bit of this, little chatting from. I mean, it's Steven Adams, right? Steven Adams is going to talk.
He don't talk much though.
Oh, he talks a little bit.
Kevin Garnett just got done talking about this big dude. I come in here talking my thing, doing my thing, and then he just not even responding. He just laughing me off. Like, Steven don't talk that much unless he's talking to his team.
Unless it's Mason Plumlee.
I mean, apparently, but
because you know when Mason Plumlee's looking you dead in the eyes, you got to show him who's boss.
And the fact that Steven has to look down for him to look. My point in asking that in the first place, though, did you feel like Mason had a reaction to what was being done to him, or that Mason started in that instance that led to the fight?
I felt like Mason reacted to, like, I feel like it was initially like, hey, Adams is going underneath, holding the arms, and then Mason reacts to it.
Yeah. So my point in asking, because that's what it looked like to me too. If you know that your team is down a center, you only have 2.5 on the roster, you simply cannot put yourself in that position, because that just really compromises your team. Like, the center position has been the weakest position for the team since the inception of this season's roster. Everybody understood that. Everybody knew that. You take one out of the equation because of injury with the ankle to Nick Richards. Now you're down to 1.5. And it's the second quarter.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just like, I understand things happen in basketball. Lord knows I know. Lord knows I've been tempted on the court or the football field.
Ever?
No, because not even to brag about myself, but I typically play an important position for my team. This is not bragging about myself, but I'm saying you have to think a different way when you know that if you're removed from the equation, your team is going to suffer because of it.
Right.
And if you're looking over your shoulder, you have your rookie that hasn't played in how long?
Yeah.
Like, you simply can't put your team in that situation. That's just my perspective.
That exchange did put them in a tough situation because the Rockets could absolutely afford to lose Steven Adams. The Suns, as crazy as it sounds to say, losing Mason Plumlee on this night was a tough blow for them. And it put Oso Ighodaro in a rough spot because a lot of people were bringing up how bad his plus minus was and all this stuff. And it's like, you got thrown into the fire tonight against one of the best teams in the West that is an absolute monster on the offensive glass, like we talked about before the game. So that whole exchange was really rough. And it's not like Mason Plumlee getting in that altercation like sparked a response from the Suns. You know, you kind of saw, like I said, this was a lifeless loss tonight. If it was one thing where the team rallied around them and showed some fight and stuff, that we'd be talking about it differently. But, you know, Bobo's over there under the basket shooting shots while this whole thing is going on.
They're
like,
so disconnected.
This team's not built like that.
And then my other thing, which is why I posed the question, the trickle-down effect from that, you have to bump Oso up minutes. And now in the minutes where he's not playing, guess who's guarding Alfred Şengün? Royce O'Neal. Do you think that's going to work in your favor? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. Whether it's the literal getting a stop one-on-one or just trying to box out someone that's a foot and a half bigger than you. Like, it's simply not going to work. And that's my point. When the decision that you make like that has trickle-down effect, that's fatal.
Yeah. Kaba in the chat, I just want to answer your thing. Says, let's talk about injuries. Beal playing 1 game, missing 2, playing 3 games, missing 4. It's impossible to create chemistry for like that 2 years in a row. We did, Steven and I, record a separate video yesterday about the possibility and exploring, that's a crazy super chat, and exploring the idea of shutting Beal down, the positives and negatives of that. We will talk about Beal in this game later, but if you want about a 15-minute conversation on that, it's live on PHNX right now. Those of you on audio, head over to PHNX. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I know vibes are low, but when it's not our fault, hit the like button. Thank you. Speaking of not our fault, you guys are amazing. We appreciate all of you being here. Let's get to some of your super chats. No, shot by Cool TV. I don't still believe in the Suns. Matthew, $2 super chat says, expected, still disappointed, plum fight highlight.
Yeah, that was the most exciting thing that happened outside of a couple Ryan Dunn and Oso blocks for me.
Is Mason Plumlee the player you'd least like to fight on the Suns roster? Because for me, I think so. Steven won't answer that.
I'm not. I'll leave that to you. You're the tough guy.
No, I just wouldn't want to fight. I think out of all of them, I wouldn't want to fight Mason Plumlee. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else.
Yeah, I feel like the big 7-foot wide dude. Maybe like Nick Richards. I don't know if I want to fight Nick Richards either.
Yeah.
Just the big guys.
I wouldn't want to
No,
fight.
get on the 2-shot for this, man.
Sorry.
I ain't got nothing to do with this conversation.
I wouldn't want to fight any of the rookies because then I would feel sad. Like, why am I fighting 2 of the sweetest people?
Right.
What issue do they have with me? They're probably right.
It's like
but why are
kicking
they
a sad
fighting?
puppy because they're not playing.
Right. Where
Just
did I go wrong in life that I'm fighting one of these sweet
Borgay
rookies?
off the top rope. Ighodaro doesn't know what's coming to him. Sean with a $1.99 super chat says, need Bob Myers and long players under 25 years old. And I need $1 million.
You gotta start with
Both
the
are
200 from
unachievable.
Desert Financial.
It's not gonna happen.
just
It's
gotta
not gonna
start with
happen.
We got a $5 super chat from Jackson. Thank you, Jackson. If Bud or any player say we got to be better ever again, I am going to revolt.
We were talking about that during the game.
That's fair. We're probably going to hear credit to Houston. They just made a few more plays than us. Got to be better defensively. We're going to hear somebody in the locker room say, control what you can control. Iron sharpens iron.
Back to the drawing board.
Next man up is going to be a big one with Oso stepping up tonight.
Yeah, no, this is a tough one. First things first, you got to give credit to Houston. They're a really, really good basketball team. They're deep. They're really well coached, and we can be better, and we all have faith in each other. But we just got to go out there. We got to execute. There was a game plan, and it just didn't work tonight. We were shorthanded, but again, just got to give Houston flowers. There, we don't have to play any Mike Budenholzer sound from postgame.
Nailed it.
Tim from Phoenix, if I can go ahead and read this.
No, please do.
The Bud impersonation. Tim from Phoenix with a $10 super chat. We appreciate you. Katie and Book both looked fed up with the team in the second half. I think that was the first time I've seen them both look checked out.
Oh, yeah, I always struggle with this one because Katie has brought this up a few times when people have brought up his body language, that like when you're losing, the body language is not going to be good, and that usually means that you care. So I don't know, to be honest. There was that clip of Book on the bench reacting to a bad defensive play. I don't know.
I would be mad if they weren't frustrated.
I think that's the choice of words for me. I would never say checked out.
Yeah, I think frustrated would be a
frustrated.
Frustrated
Is the adjective I would use 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, 19 points from both of them tonight in 37 minutes. These guys are playing 40 minutes every night. We know that they could be better than 19 points each, but also you have to think Houston has a really good defense, and to not be on my Mike Budenholzer-ish, you do have to credit Houston for being a good team. And again, I said it in pregame, Steven, the plan is clear. If you can find a way to limit Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you're going to live with Bradley Beal being the leading scorer on this team.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to shut off even the slightest bit of the water from either one of those two?
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's aided by the lack of process from the team on the other on that side, though. That's the thing we're going to get to with the keys to the game.
Michael 199 says, Bud has to go. They need a young, passionate coach.
I don't even know if it's young. I just think they need someone that, first of all, can have a roster that's built to match the strengths of their coaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest disconnect of everything. And then someone that can add some nuance to the approach.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like those things are missing, whether you look at the offense and the things Kevin Young did in comparison to what's being done with this iteration of the Suns. And on the defensive end, I mean, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, that they need a coach that can come in, and whoever is still in this locker room by the start of next season, their approach has to keep the belief of the team. And I'm not saying that like Devin Booker or Kevin Durant or any of these guys are not coachable or anything like that, because I have seen, we've seen that around after Frank Vogel got fired, and now the team looks like they've given up on Mike Budenholzer. It's not a matter of coachability for me. It's a matter of trust between the coach and the player in terms of the system that is being preached and what the players are good at and what they're capable of executing on the floor. We've been saying this for months now. It just doesn't feel like, in terms of their effort and execution, that there is that trust, that there is that belief in what they're doing, because you can see when a basketball team doesn't have it, it's very obvious in the way that they play.
I'll ask just a question real quick to y'all both.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's been on my mind, and I feel like it might be part of the ploy for Kevin Durant to keep him with their franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go to both of them after this season and talk with them about, give me 3 coaches that you two both feel like would get the most out of, not just you two individually and as a tandem, but whatever other pieces we're able to put around you?
That's a slippery slope. I'm torn on that. Part of me says yes, because you want to keep Book happy. You want to keep Katie here. But who was Katie's guy in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Right? How did that work out? And I love Steve Nash, don't get me wrong, but how did that work out? I don't know. I think you can ask them, but I don't think you can give them final say.
Yeah, I think you need their input for sure, because especially if the goal is to keep Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, which we don't know if that is the case based on what they did at the trade deadline. But if they feel like they can move off of Beal and restructure this around KD and Book, I think you have to have their input and say, these are our top candidates that we have in mind. What do you think of each one? And if they have recommendations that aren't on that list, I think you get their input on it. I don't think, like Eric said, I don't think you're going to them and say, name the head coach.
Right.
But I do think you need their input, because these are 2 guys that have been with 3 different head coaches over the last couple of years. At this point, they should know what they want in a head coach and what type of head coach they need for this team built around those 2 to be successful. It shouldn't be very difficult. But we've now hired 2 head coaches, the only 2 head coaches in Suns history who have had championship experience before, and neither one of them has worked out, and probably both of them are going to be gone within a year. So you need to not hire another retread based on what they've done in the past, but what they can actually do for you, and who will have the buy-in of those 2 from day one and hopefully through the whole season.
And that was my main reason for posing the question. And to your point about the slippery slope, desperate times call for desperate measures.
For sure.
You're desperate to not lose Kevin Durant, for one, but also to get the most out of these 2 together on the roster. So
yeah, that's fair. Teddy with a $4.99 super chat says, "Yay defense." So wait, another loss. How do they play better versus Houston with just KD Dolo?
Maria with a $4.99 super chat. We appreciate you, Maria. She says, "Yeah, we can kiss that play-in goodbye. However, I'm willing to be talked off the ledge." What do you got for me, gentlemen? I have nothing right now.
Gerald, do you have anything?
Dallas also lost tonight, so at least you didn't lose ground in the play-in.
All I have is a break. Sorry. That's the best I can do from you. We're gonna keep reading super chats right after this. I'm sorry, Maria, but maybe take a recommendation on some nice outdoor shades for your patio from All Pro Shade Concepts, because I'll tell you what, you know exactly what you're going to get with All Pro Shade Concepts. We were talking to Espo earlier today, who's off, being the big man for the company, being the GM, making sure that we all have a job and microphones to speak into. And he's a busy guy, so quick and easy installation that he can trust from people that he trusts is really important when he has somebody working in his home. And he recently had All Pro Shade Concepts out there, and he was raving about just how much faster the experience was to get his outdoor living space custom fit with an awning. It's a roll down patio shade blocking the sun to keep the patio up to 20 degrees cooler in the sun. And guess what? They were in and out like that. He said it felt like they weren't even there. And that's because they are ranked #1 by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024. Better Business Bureau gave them an A+ rating and over 1,000 5-star reviews and probably over 1,001 now because of Espo. So be like Espo. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free estimate. I'm closing my computer. I'm not even reading anything for this one because I got to tell you about our friend over at Carol Royce. And I mean that because Carol and her team were in the office yesterday, and I already have been hearing about Carol. I've worked the jobs, I've listened to the ads, and I'm like, yeah, Carol's awesome. What incredible deals and guarantees she's going to give you. But when you meet her in person, I think we can all attest, she is the realest of the real. Am I wrong?
No, absolutely not.
The first thing that she said was giving direct advice to young people, telling young people that if you're not in the housing market now, it might be your last chance. And the thing about Carol that she wants to get across to everybody is that she's not transactional based. She's not going to sit down and try to make a quick buck and try to get in and out. No, she's here on building relationships. She wants to sit down and talk to you about your financial goals, how you can help get to the point of buying a home. And even if you're not ready yet, she's going to look you dead in the eyes and she's going to tell you the truth. So make sure you get in touch with Carol if you're just interested in figuring out the real estate market or your place in it. Call Carol Royce or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions do apply. Once again, thank you all so much. I know some of you don't even watch the games anymore, and I get it. Some of you are just tuning in with us to keep up to date. We feel very privileged and blessed that you guys continue to tap in with us, the true psychos and the sickos, and especially the psychoiest of the sickos, those of you who drop super chats. Steven, you want to keep it rolling on our super chat train? Oh, never mind. Not you. Not you.
That's Big Noah.
This is Noah ours.
All right. $2 super chat from Be Calm See Clearly. Would Booker be mad if I hugged him? Ask him. Art.
Gerald? Ask the tough questions, Gerald.
As long as I didn't show him any of your other super chats, Be Calm, See Clearly, I think you might stand a chance there. We got another $5 one from Jackson Dew. Thank you, Jackson. Not trying to defend Bud, but I feel like this poop offense is on Bud and the poop defense is on the players. Yeah, I think there's some truth in that, but I also do think like the defense, they don't really try anything outside of what they're comfortable with, which is usually drop coverage. I would like to see more switching. This is something that you've heard several Suns players hint at throughout the season, especially early in the year when they were talking about Brad and how he's chasing people over screens. You heard KD and Book both say, and that's especially difficult when you don't switch. We don't really switch a lot. That feels like those things are included for a reason. So I would like to see a little bit more scheme versatility there. I do think effort largely falls on the players, but again, it's tough when you don't have that belief in what you're doing.
That's it.
There you go. Want to read the next one, Steven?
Yeah, from Teddy, we got a $4.99 super chat. Teddy says, this roster clearly has a lot of flaws, but blood excuse me. Triple B.
What is Blood doing?
That's 4 B words.
But Bud being blindly loyal to Tyus Plumlee, Royce sunk the team from day one. I don't know if it's necessarily that sunk them. I think there's a lot of things that came in alignment before that point, but that doesn't help with the Plumlee part in particular, but again, what could he really pivot to though?
Yeah. I mean, the Tyus minutes have been rough for a while. I would have liked to see him pivot in a different direction. Well, and Tyus didn't even have like a bad game tonight. He was actually knocking down shots, and defensively, he can't guard anybody, but nobody on this team is interested in that outside of the rookies. So
less about blind loyalty to players and more about blind loyalty to doubling down and not adjusting. You can still find ways to play Tyus, to play Plumlee, and even with Royce. I mean, Royce has had way higher highs than any of the other two that we had mentioned. It's just the lack of adjusting and scheming and making sure that they're in the best positions and playing the other players that might be better matchups on certain nights. Like Mason Plumlee's had good nights, not nights where he deserves to play the entire game. Maria, it's not a PHNX Sun show if Maria doesn't drop a super chat. Teddy as well, BCOM, so many of you who are always so consistent. Mike from Mesa, man, we appreciate really all of you so much. And of course, everybody who tunes in no matter what. Says, Bud iced Oso and Dunn early in the season for no reason, bars, and didn't allow them to improve/gain more chemistry with the team on the court throughout the season. I'm disappointed with the choices. Why not invest in your rookies that you drafted?
it's a great question, and I wish I had an answer for you, Maria.
That question mark at the end is all three of us, and it's been all three of us.
Yep. It's one of the most, and I've been very harsh on Bud, more harsh than I usually would be on coaches. It's one of the most dumbfounding things that I've ever watched a coach do, and I watch Arizona State basketball. Okay, Michael with a 199 super chat says, when Plumlee gets ejected, you know the team is over.
For real, Mason Plumlee is showing the most fight in a game for the Suns at this point in the season. Yeah. And this is no slight on Mason Plumlee, but he's a very even keel person, if you've ever heard him speak.
He spent the better half of the season being yelled at by multiple different people, and never did you get a reaction like that out of him.
Right.
That says a lot.
Yep.
That says a whole lot.
Yeah.
We got a 199 super chat from another Michael.
I'm very interesting that you jumped on saying this one so quickly, Mr.
I didn't look at it.
No.
I don't know what I was getting myself into. Says Michael says, I've become an alcoholic because of the Suns.
I feel like you're not alone,
Understandable.
Michael. At least we're watching the games. Those of you who watch the game sober, man. I mean,
well, imagine if you did a shot or anything like that for every turnover.
Oh my gosh, you'd be dead. Or coaching the Phoenix Suns. Keep Beal, trade KD, and Book. They are going through the motions. That is from Mike from Mesa. I'm not on trading KD and Book. I know it wasn't their best game, but let's talk a little bit Bradley Beal. It's time for Big Bright Shining Star, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@Gila.com for more details.
I am a big, bright, shining star.
Tonight, our big, bright, shiny star was Bradley Beal with a team-high 25 points, shot 9 of 14 from the floor, missed all 4 of his threes, but went 7 of 7 from the free throw line. He got there the most out of anyone on the Suns. I thought Beal was good at getting downhill and attacking the paint. Steven, you had touched on this in pregame, the importance of, against this number 2 Rockets defense, getting in the paint, collapsing the defense a little bit, putting some pressure on the rim. I thought he was able to do that, and I thought once he was able to do that, that also opened up his pull-up game a little bit, because we know that when he's on the court, he is able to stop on a dime with that crossover, that step-back move, and knock down the mid-range jumper. Saw that a few times tonight. So, you know, I don't want to say that like anyone played fantastic tonight. Beal was probably the choice by default, but I felt like early in the game when it was close, he had a good first half, especially.
Yeah, Brad played well for all intents and purposes. I know the bar was low considering how many points the team scored, and what the general offensive output looked like, but he did what he was asked to do in this matchup in particular, and that's go and get a paint touch, find a way to win leverage getting downhill. He did that time after time after time, sometimes as the primary option, sometimes as the secondary option, sometimes cycling through pressure counters, getting into rescreens, handoffs getting downhill. He was there. He did his job. You couldn't really ask for too much more from him. You don't expect for him to put the team on his back at this point. You just ask for him to chip in a way that's conducive to the process, and he did his job.
Yeah, a lot of people citing the plus minus for Beal tonight.
Yeah,
of course.
Worst on the team at a minus 15. I have actually defended Bradley Beal quite a bit throughout the season. I'm just not moved anymore. I'm fine giving him big, bright, shining star because who else are you going to give it to? Highest plus minus on the team in 5 minutes. Colin Gillespie, 2 points, 2 rebounds. Woo, +9. All right. Yeah, I don't really know who else you would give it to. And while we're getting our segments going, we might as well also look at what's inside the box presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes.
What's in the box? Unfortunately, again, it's more to be desired. Start with the bottom, work the way up to the top. Look at the turnovers first. 17 turnovers for the Suns compared to 9 for the Rockets tonight. Look at the number inside, and you see there's 11 live ball turnovers from the Suns. That 11 is more than the general turnovers in the Rockets did. If you're conceding possessions in addition to a team that's out-rebounded you to the extent that Houston did, especially with their offensive rebounds, you're going to lose the shots on goal battle. And as you look at the top, you see the discrepancy between the two teams. There is no formula for winning. Doesn't matter how many threes you do make. And if you don't decide to make your threes in addition to all of those things, kind of get the result that you did tonight, which is an underwhelming offensive performance from a team that is the best offense in the league per rating over the last 2 weeks of play.
I'm sick of having to wrap my head around the Suns shooting above 50% from the field and still losing. And it was only by 7 in the end, but they were down double digits. It was garbage 100%. Time kind of cleaning up that gap there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take 15 fewer shots than your opponent and 10 fewer threes and 5 fewer free throws and expect to win. Like, I know that a lot of people don't like analytics and they hate that word, but this is just basic elementary math. Like, it's not even anything complicated. You don't have to be a statistician to understand those numbers. Like, you have to find a way, whether it's turnovers or cleaning up second chance opportunities, to minimize that gap. And having a bad defense on top of that, you're just putting yourself in a situation where you're never going to win games like that against any semi-respectable NBA team.
Just a reminder, our light goal is 130. Thank you, everybody who's live with us, but of course, all of you who are on audio as well and watching on YouTube after the fact. You're all part of our family, our Psychos and Sickos community. If you are listening on audio and you feel so inclined, a 5-star review would go a long way in helping us out. And of course, if you are on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, because we're not just doing this show, we're giving you all sorts of additional content as well. Plus Cardinals, Diamondbacks, ASU, U of A, Rising, Mercury. We have everything covered for you in one convenient location right here and over at gophnx.com. Let's continue to read your super chats. We have quite a few. People are sounding off, so let's continue to rip through these. We appreciate all of you. We got another one for Noah.
$2 comes from BComC Clearly, and he wants to give Devin Booker something that he calls the great massage.
We got another one from Michael Scarn, $5. Thank you, Michael. Hope you're enjoying your time away from the office. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll read this one. Michael with a $4.99 super chat says, Bud looks like he drinks straight from the bottle as soon as he gets home. He has dead eyes. He's aged 25 years this season. I will say he has aged 25 years this season. He looks like he's going through it.
I think we all have, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
We got a $2.
Noah feels great.
Noah feels fine wearing his Pistons jersey, which somehow is in a better place than where we were at. We got a $2 super chat from Cesar. Thank you. What about Fizdale, Mike, KD, and Book pick him? Maybe. I mean, I know that a lot of guys on this team last year, this year, around the league have respect for Fizz. I know that his coaching record doesn't look fantastic if you look at his last couple of stints, but he is a guy that commands respect. I love hearing from him when we do get to hear from him, like after halftime. We rarely get a hold of him as members of the media because assistant coaches are typically left off limits. But anytime you've heard from him or spoken to him, he knows his stuff. So if there was a situation where Bud gets let go, I would like to see what Fizdale could do with this roster. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I would be curious to see if they would go to bat for him, if they would want kind of an outside candidate.
The best coaches always have a reach that extends well past the best players on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically the coaches that can reach the 13, 12, 14, 15, 11th man on the roster.
Yeah.
That see the most successes. But Fizz is clearly a coach that has that dynamic about his approach. and how he builds up those relationships clearly behind closed doors. So for those reasons alone, I would not be mad for that.
I'll say this though. If you're going to move and consider David Fizdale, I would really like to see him this season.
Yes.
Of course.
Because I would like to see exactly what an offense would look like. Even if you shut down players, as our next super chat is about, even if you're out of the play-in, I'm still of the opinion to try to go for some new blood. You look at the best coaches around the league. A lot of them have entered the league within the last 5 to 7 years. I would love to give Fizz a shot. I would rather have Fizz coaching this team right now. But what I don't want to happen is you let Bud roll this season out, you fire him, and then you hire Fizdale, because we don't know how much Fizdale has. We don't know assistant coaches, the same conversation with Kevin Young, how much impact they have on everything going on. So I would like to give him a chance to prove that he's different before signing him to what would probably be a 3 to 5 year deal, which is standard for coaches. Jonathan with a $1.99, then a $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Jephthah.
Yeah.
Pangan Beyond. I'm so sorry. I look like Mason Plumlee. It messed me up. It said sit book it. I can't even read in general. Here, want to read this one, Steven?
Yeah, the second one says sit Book and KD out. Run the offense through Beal, drive up his value.
This man pulled the mellow pump fake and then give the ball to the ref.
I mean, it's less a mellow pump fake. It's more I took like 3 shots and I missed the rim on each one of them. And I said, damn, you take it.
We appreciate it. The only problem with that process is that Beal has to be available for you to play through him to a respectable percentage of the offense. And unfortunately, health has not been in his favor over the last couple of seasons with the Suns. And the next one, we got $1.99 from Rob Davis. Appreciate you. He says, so we're not going to talk about Book's terrible defense.
We've spoken on it before on this program. I feel like I just don't have much to add to it. He's got to be better. And I feel like we're far past the point in the season where you can realistically turn that around. Like, I feel like everybody involved in this, in the locker room, in the coaching staff, front office, fan base, here, us on this panel, we know that this season is a lost season, that this team is not going to get where they need to go. It's not an excuse, but it's just a reality. So I don't think Book's going to suddenly turn on his defense for this home stretch where they're already 6 games below, where their best case scenario is making the play in and getting smacked in 4 or 5 games in the first round. It definitely has to be better. He's regressed this season and last season on that end, when it felt like when the team was winning, he was locked in on that end. I don't know.
I think the regression this season is real, even when this team was certainly in it and even above 500. I think it's been a rough season overall from Book. Counting stats will be okay. They won't be Devin Booker great, but this will definitely go down as hopefully the most disappointing season in the prime of Devin Booker. Looking at the last couple of years and hopefully the next couple of years. Hope this isn't a trend. I don't expect it to be. The team around him has to be better. Noah, you're back up to bat.
$2 from Be Calm again. Tell Booker superfan Donzel wants a baby with him.
Is it Donzel or Donzel? I want to know which one it is. Is it Donzel like Denzel? Be Calm. Let us know. No. And then Mike from Mesa with a $1.99 super chat says, big bright shining star, Nacho's head just exploded. Well, sorry, Nacho, but it's more of a, hey, here you go. This is the big, bright, shining star. You guys are all the big, bright, shining star. We will talk about a possible Houston Rockets Kevin Durant trade, and we will wrap up our thoughts on a 111-104 loss for the Phoenix Suns, who are now 6 games under 500, right after our final break. Yesterday, when Carol Royce came into the office, she came bearing gifts, and that was Spinatos. Steven, you finally got to try Spinatos. How was it?
It was fire.
It was delicious.
Not the best piece I had in my life, but it was fire.
Come on, dude.
It was fire.
Listen,
I'm from Chicago, man. What else do you expect me to say?
I ate 10 slices of Spinatos pizza yesterday. Gerald, I know you went back to the Spinatos well because we had some leftovers.
I did. So I ate 5 yesterday and 5 today. So I had to match you there. It's fantastic because I love their sauce because it's unique and it's sweet. You know what I mean? Like it's a sweet sauce. It's unique.
Yeah, it's really good. And we're doing a watch party there
Let's
on
go.
March 28th. And I don't know
I'm
if Steven's
excited.
going to be let in through the door. Mr. My deep dish is superior. Listen,
didn't even say nothing about
listen.
deep dish.
And you're going
I
to
didn't
say
even
nothing for the
listen.
rest of this ad read. I'll tell you that, okay? You ain't going to say anything else the rest of this ad read. If you want to get all of the infos on our watch party, go to gophnx.com/events. And they have other watch parties at Spinato's and pizza basketball contests. It's like course, but with pizza at Spinato's, pizzeria.com. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. Geez, you want to tell me how much you hate Circle K, Steven? My
I
lord.
love Circle
Listen,
K.
I know you love Circle K because guess what? If you missed it out yesterday, I really wish we had a show to let you guys know yesterday, but it was 40 cents off per gallon day for Inner Circle members over at Circle K, and they're always rolling out different deals for you. And if you are not a member of the Inner Circle, it's real easy. All you gotta do is put in your phone number, put in your email. You get 25 cents off per gallon. On your first 5 fill-ups, you can save 3 cents off per gallon every day after that, and eventually bump up to 5 cents off per gallon. Plus, they have other member exclusive deals and discounts on snacks, on drinks, on everything in between. All you have to do is open up that Circle K app every day. And guess what? When you're driving to work, you don't even need to like Apple Map, Google Map where the next Circle K is. Because if you're driving to work, you're going to pass one. If you're driving more than 2, maybe even less, you're going to pass a Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Listen, I'm never setting you up in an ad read again. And it's not, no, that is certainly not my fault. I'm not bearing the cross on that one. You have dodged a lot of responsibility for the Phoenix Suns' faults this year. I'm not taking responsibility for this one.
How I dodge Phoenix Suns stuff?
No, every time I say, oh, that one's on us, guys, you're like, hell no, it's not. That one's not on me. Listen, all right. Well, you did do something good today, and you found us this Kevin Durant trade that we are going to talk about. So let's just change the topic before we get yelled out of the studio by Max. Thank God he's not in office right now. But Kevin Durant, could he have just lost to the team that he'll be playing for next year? Well, we don't know for sure. There is this framework that was laid out there on a possible Kevin Durant trade that involved the Houston Rockets, the Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz. Steven, redeem yourself and run us through this one.
Well, they have the Suns. This is from Eric Pincus over at Bleacher Report. He said that this trade will have the Suns getting Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz, as well as former Sun Jock Landale coming back to Phoenix, which Espo would greatly appreciate, and the Suns getting the 2025 first-round pick in exchange for sending Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, and a laundry list of players plus a first-round pick in the 2025 first round, and with the $20.4 million trade exception going to the Jazz. So a lot of moving parts with this trade, but I just wanted to get you all's thoughts because I feel like this is a template for if a trade does happen with KD, it might look similar to this.
So I like Markkanen. I do. I feel like he might be one of the better players that you could realistically get back in a Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah.
And he's still, how old is he?
He's like 26, 27?
27.
27.
Okay, so
Nailed
he's
it.
27, so he fits your timeline a lot better. I'm a little concerned about only getting one first round pick out of it.
Is that's our first round pick, I'm assuming, this year, right?
Yeah, probably
for
back
sure.
from Houston. So at the very least, what we're seeing from the Suns in terms of their crumbling effect would at least result in probably a lottery pick. I don't know, man. I would need one other sweetener, I feel like, in that deal. And I say this acknowledging that we could very well get to the offseason and realize that beggars can't be choosers because Kevin Durant is going to have some say in where he wants to go. So if he doesn't want to go to Houston, he's not going to Houston.
Yeah, but let's just say hypothetically all sides agree to this. Lowry in a vacuum I has been one of the more disappointing players, I would say, this season. Obviously on a bad team, you don't really know how much to judge that, but 7 foot, can shoot the three, moves off the ball. Like you could see that working and definitely occupying a different space than Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. If you still have Bradley Beal, Landale would be probably your second first best center on the roster right now, or at least if he played like he did when he was here before. I know Houston's been a little different for him. And if you get your own first round pick, that's really high value. I think the interesting thing here, I would want a little bit more than this, but at the end of the day, like Gerald said, that might be the best individual player. What if you got what the Jazz received? I know that it's kind of a weird who goes where at that point, because then Kevin Durant would have to go to the Jazz. But what if it was just Rockets and Suns And the Suns received Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, Jayshawn Tate, a 2025 first-round pick, and the $20.4 million trade exception. Is that better or worse than what they receive in this one?
Well, I feel like they're wanting to still win
Yeah.
while also gaining some type of compensation past the actual win-now player. And naturally, that simply is what we see there. I definitely understand everybody wanting more than just a player and a pick, or two players and a pick, rather. But if, to Gerald's point, if Kevin Durant says that he only wants to go to City X, you have no leverage at that point. So you might be pigeonholed into a scenario like this.
I would like to think that if KD is okay with being traded this summer, if he and the Suns work together, like Shams reported a few weeks ago, is the expectation that they're going to work together, it'll be more than just one destination. And we know Kevin Durant is a purebred hooper. Like, this guy will have fun playing basketball with any set of teammates, no matter where he's gone throughout his career, no matter how bad the season has been. He's always talked about, man, I just love getting up every day and rolling the ball out with these guys. So I know that he'll want to be on a good team. Obviously, he's not going to be like, yeah, send me to Sacramento. It's fine. But I do think if he can give them multiple avenues instead of just what we've seen from like Jimmy Butler or whoever, like it's this place or nowhere, then I think that puts the Suns in a better spot in terms of actually getting a decent trade or return for KD. I'll be honest with you, that Rockets return that the Jazz are getting doesn't do a lot for me. And I'm someone that really was high on Reed Shepard heading into this season, but that hasn't really panned out. A lot of these other guys are decent young pieces, but if that's the route that you're taking, I'd rather take out one or two of those guys and replace them with picks. And that's only if you are also just kind of blowing it up. And I just don't think you're there yet. I think you have to make a Kevin Durant trade that makes you competitive. And honestly, if you look at this trade, Lauri Markkanen and your own first round pick back and Jock Landale, like you just got worse as a team. You didn't get any better.
Hey, there's a non-zero chance that that pick ends up being Cooper Flagg. I'm being dead serious. I'm not even joking. Like, we saw the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't think it's going to happen back-to-back years, but make the play-in and then get the number one pick in the draft.
But that's what it would have to be for that trade to feel good, honestly. Like, you would have to get the number one or the number two pick for me to feel good about that trade. Otherwise, I'm like, cool, you got the 9th or the 10th pick in the draft, and yeah.
Question from Houston's side of things: Are you giving up too much for Kevin Durant at that point? A couple picks, lots and lots of players, but none of your top shelf talent that you currently have on the roster.
If you can get him without giving up Amen or Jabari Smith Jr. or Tari Eason, like that really helps you. So I think, yes, if they do that, then they are definitely getting a steal in a sense.
They keep Jalen Green, they keep Van Vliet, they keep all of these different players. That
no, Jabari Smith in this trade is going to the Jazz.
Okay, but so then they still have Tari Eason, who's someone they can defend around Kevin Durant. So yeah, to that point, yes, I think that's a steal for them if they can keep some of those pieces without having, because now that sets them up to make another move. Yeah, there's needless to say they would want to make another wing addition in addition to that.
And I believe they would still have draft capital in that. And if you're pushing all your chips into the table, then I think you're, like you said, looking for another move. Let us know what you think. Breaking down the trade one last time. Let's take a look at it one last time. Lauri Markkanen, Jock Landale, 2025 first-round pick to the Suns. The Rockets get Kevin Durant. The Jazz get Reed Shepard, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore, Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, Jayshawn Tate, 2025 first-round pick, and a $20.4 million trade exception. Let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you leave a like on this video and you subscribe to PHNX Sports as well. If you are watching on TV with us, we appreciate you a ton. The party always continues over at gophnx.com. That does not just mean Gerald and Steven's wonderful writing, but also so much more. If you are a collegiate sports fan, I did a diehard only interview on ASU hockey, who's entering their first postseason. We have football trackers for the offseason for both teams. And of course, we have free agency frenzy going on right now with the Cardinals. And you can sign up and become a diehard today for an intro offer of $36. Get access to our diehard Discord, all the exclusive content that I just listed out there, plus a free t-shirt or hat every single year, discount to all of our live events that cost, and so much more. Everybody who's in the Discord, I know, will attest that it is the best place to talk, not just Suns basketball, but Cardinals football, Diamondbacks baseball, ASU, U of A, Mercury, everything that you could possibly imagine when it comes to local sports over at gophnx.com. We are also doing a golf tournament, a golf event next month in April. It is the Green Jacket Scramble on April 12th at Dobson Ranch Golf Course. It's a 2 p.m. shotgun start. You get limited edition PHNX gift pack. We're going to have giveaways, a pregame Masters watch party, postgame food and drinks, 18 holes. You can sign up as a foursome or individually at gophnx.com/events. And again, if you are a diehard, you get a discount on our events. It is a great time to get in and become a diehard today. I'll let everybody in on not as much of a secret, but I will be doing a pregame show for our diehards for Friday's game, an hour before our pregame show. I will be going live in our diehard Discord, taking questions, chatting about basketball and life with all of our diehards. So if that's something that interests you, you want a little bit more ways to just deal with all of this, you can go become a diehard today, become a true psycho and sicko. Let's wrap things up. Final thoughts on the Suns' 111-104 loss to the Rockets.
Give me more Dunn and Iguodaro, because this season is really, really hard to watch, and it's going to get even worse as the L's continue to stack up. So at least give me the rookies so I have something new to evaluate into these post-game evaluations.
I was just wanting to get back to having fun on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back to having fun.
We saw early in the season, people celebrating, like withstanding the KD 3 to take it to overtime last week. Like, outside of that, when was the last time I felt like there was joy from guys scoring time and time again? A great pass. Not everybody's up on the bench and, waving the towel over their heads. Like that, they've been playing so slow that defenses have been able to stay ahead of them. That's not where this team should have ever been, even at their worst.
Nope. My final thoughts are, yeah, that's about it at this point. Suns are the 10th seed. They are still 2.5 games behind the Mavericks, who also lost tonight. I know Portland and New York are currently playing. New York up 64-56, Minnesota up 60-55. You, of course, want to keep eyes on the Clippers and the Kings. If you also have your eyes set on the play-in as well, Clippers did beat Miami today, which is not great for you. I do not believe, the Sacramento Kings did not play today. We will be back tomorrow with a 3 p.m. live show. We're going to be having so much fun, and I hope that you have some fun with us. And of course, we will be back with a pregame and postgame show on Friday as this fun Phoenix Suns season continues. But you guys do make it fun, and you guys make it worth it. We appreciate all of you who are tuning in with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys are the best. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. We appreciate Noah behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. So responsible, so reliable. That is the Noah way. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourgay. And we can all cry together once again tomorrow afternoon.
We all silly like the mayor.